Welcome to Mitchell Elf. Our theme this year is Adaptations, and this unit is Thorns and Threats, and this is Center 3, Pantomime Parade and Performance Center. This is basically a center of charades, and so you might start out by talking to the kids about if they've ever played charades before and what are some of the rules for playing charades. Like, for instance, we don't talk when we're trying to get people to guess what we are, and people hopefully will take turns throwing out answers. But most importantly, you would emphasize things about that they're acting with gestures and body movements, but they're not speaking. And so I would start out kind of giving them a hint that they're going to be playing charades, but that the charades, the purpose of it is for them to act out ways that plants and animals have defense strategies and how those defense strategies work. So after you've kind of clued them into what the premise is and what the goal is in terms of the charades part, you might want to start out with the riddle that's in the outline. I always get stepped on. Animals and people are constantly picking on me. I am stuck at the bottom of the food chain, and I live in the dirt. Sometimes I have to defend myself a little to stand up to my predators. I am a... and then it gives you the answer, but you don't need to tell the kids the answer. You can just read this out loud and have them guess, well, what might that be? And so hopefully they will answer a plant. Then you're going to move on to another, if you'd like to, if you're not sure that the kids are going to understand acting out animal defenses, or if you'd like to just give them kind of an overview of plant and animal defenses, then you can do a group pantomime that kind of underscores the riddle that I just read, and ask the students to pretend they are each plants of their own choice. Then you will walk around and pretend to stomp on them and say, well, how would you react? How would you defend yourself if I'm stomping on you? How would you defend yourself if I'm eating you? Or what would happen? How would you act if a cold wind or a hot breeze blew through? And think about that, and have the kids think about that, and kind of have them just start getting in the idea and the mood of pantomiming and acting and playing charades. But then steer them right back towards the idea that they are these plants and they need to defend themselves from you stomping on them or from being eaten, and what kind of adaptations might they have. Hopefully they'll brainstorm some, and you can guide them with things like they would need thorns or poison or an icky smell. And then you could also go back to talking about what animal defenses we learned about in the Hunter-Hunted unit, and hopefully the kids will list through some examples of animal adaptations that are defense strategies as well. After you've done that, so you've kind of prepped them for the whole idea, and I wouldn't spend a ton of time on that. I try to limit the prepping part to about 5 minutes. Then you're going to have the kids, you're going to pass out a blue card, one of these blue cards, to each student. And for the younger kids, you'll probably need to just do it one at a time and read it in their ears, or whatever reading level you think that they're at. And then each student will get a chance to perform their pantomime for the group. So for instance, if you gave a kid this one, you eat deadly mushrooms and suffered the consequences, then the kid would have to act out that person had eaten that, and then hopefully the kids would guess that they had eaten something poisonous. But perhaps perhaps that person would hopefully, that student would hopefully maybe pick the mushrooms first, pretend to be digging in dirt, and maybe pick the mushrooms and then eat them, and then roll over and suffer the consequences of eating those deadly mushrooms, however they would act that out. And so another good one, you are a goat using your horns. I could read through all of these, but hopefully you're starting to get the idea. So the student that did this would hopefully pantomime being a goat and using its horns, and then the kids are hopefully guessing that the horns are the defense and And like in the mushroom one, they would hopefully guess the poison was the defense, and so on and so forth. So all those the 20 different scenarios are listed in your outline, so you can kind of think ahead on those if you'd like to. That should probably take most of the time, especially if you have each student act it out and then each one guess. But you could, for the older students, after they perform the pantomime, you could ask them to write a short story if you want to that goes with it, or you could ask the kids to just kind of do a out loud story that would go with how an animal or a plant would be using one of these defenses. The other thing you could do instead of the story is just, since there are plenty of cards, you could pass out a new set of cards, and every kid could probably have at least 2 turns acting out whatever charade and whatever animal or plant defense that was that they got. So overall, this is a pretty easy center. You probably want to find a corner of the room that has enough space for kids to be acting this out. If it's a nice day, you might decide to take kids outside to do this outside. I wouldn't do it in the hallway because there will probably be kids shouting answers and getting all excited, because charades is a pretty exciting game. So if you have any questions, you can email us at mitchellelf@gmail.com. And there will be a couple books in the center. I don't have them from the library yet. And as always, you can adapt the activity to the needs of your grade level. Thanks a lot. Have fun.